What up guys, my name is Christy Whitlock. Today I wanted to kind of bring you in behind the scenes with my artwork and what I like to do. Right now I kind of mess with a lot of different mediums, whether it be epoxy resin, acrylic paint, watercolor, you name it. Today, however, we're going to focus on more so acrylic painting and epoxy resin to coat. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we move a little bit further. For this process today, we're going to go ahead and make a little coffee tumbler, cup, whatever you want to call it. And I just want to show you the process that I like to follow. I think it's super cool. It's a little bit in depth. I understand not everyone is super into crafts, but I hope this can kind of take your mind off the day and just sit back and relax and enjoy. Thank you.
All right, first things first, we'll talk about some of the tools that we'll be using for today. We're going to be painting, so of course we'll need some paintbrushes of some sort. Literally does not matter where you get your paintbrushes. I buy them everywhere I find them. You know, even the dollar store has some really good paintbrushes there sometimes. You know, craft stores, whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. Even if you don't consider yourself the best artist or whatever, which I hear that all the time. Oh, Christy, you know, I'm not good at painting. That's nonsense. Anyone can paint, even if you're just, throwing paint on, a canvas or what have you. There's some of the coolest designs come out that way. So just go with the flow, have some fun. So yes, you'll want to grab some paintbrushes. All right, next up, we're going to need some paint. You can literally get paint, again, anywhere, dollar store, craft store, does not matter. The paint that I have is literally just super, super old paint that has been passed down for me. Some my mom had when I was little, and some of it needs to be thrown away. But you can get paint anywhere, and it literally doesn't matter what kind. I get it on sale at Home Depot, in the paint aisle, or, craft stores, does not matter. So you can pretty much use anything you'd like for the paints. And a lot of the basic craft paints, you'll want to look into acrylic paint rather than oil or anything like that. Those will be, different consistency and texture. So just really go with acrylic paint. Again, doesn't matter what brand or anything like that. Usually these ones that you're seeing here, the Folk Art. There's a couple other brands that look very similar. You can get whichever ones you want. Literally does not matter. I tend to go for the sales. So next up, you'll want to get either some sort of tumbler. For this video specifically, we're going to be using a tumbler, but you can again use anything. Art, as you can tell, everything I'm saying is like, oh, use whatever you want, but that's pretty much how it is. Art is whatever you want it to be. So people sell all kinds of stuff, and it's pretty cool. Thinking outside the box. So you can either get some sort of tumbler if you need to, whatever size you prefer. If you're using a tumbler cup spinner, which we'll talk about here in just a moment, you'll want to make sure that the sizes line up. So we'll get to that here in just a second. Or you can even use a canvas or paper or, piece of wood. Anything that you find is really cool. Some of the coolest pieces of artwork that I have, one of them is a really old skateboard that someone painted on. Just things like that I think is really, really cool. Gives it almost a little bit more, more character, I guess you could say. So anything you want. The next item that I will be using today specifically, which a lot of people I'm sure will kind of stay away from, for things like tumblers, you'll definitely want to use something like epoxy resin. And basically what this is a clear coating. It can go on almost anything. Depending on the type of resin, you'll want to look into if you ever get into, using this stuff. There's a lot of safety measures that, need to be taken while you use it. So definitely something to look into. I won't go into the full details here just because it is a lot. But epoxy resin is super cool. It's self-leveling. So anytime you use it, you could throw it on. A lot of people use countertop epoxy to do like the mock marble countertops, or you'll see videos of people doing it on floors and things like that. It's super, super cool. Lots of crafts. I know myself in my spare time I make little keychains, things like that, useless items that no one really needs, but they're cute, and sometimes we just gotta have them. So those are the types of items that I like to use for epoxy resin, just smaller scale projects. But it's really up to you, and you'll see as we go through the video how I use epoxy resin. And with it being self-leveling, everything looks nice and smooth in the finished product, which again we'll get to here in a moment. And lastly, for the major tools that we'll be using today, a cup turner. So this specifically, what it does, you plug it in and it spins the cup. You put it on the little styrofoam end there, and it spins the cup round and round for as long as you need to. Epoxy resin, one thing that I did not mention, it takes 24 hours for it to fully cure. So what I mean by that is basically it takes 24 hours for you to be able to touch it so it's not sticky anymore. And then that way you can, use your cup. So for this, since it takes 24 hours and it is self-leveling, you'll want to have your cup on there turning. You don't want to touch it, after you put the resin on, which again, I'll show you, that here in a moment. But once you put the resin on, you don't want to touch it. It, just sits there, cures and spins in circles. So that way it's all nice and even throughout the entire cup. This cup turner that I found has, different items along with it. There's a little silicone spatula, if you will, which is super cool. I have one as well. It's super helpful, especially as you're kind of, coating the cup and the epoxy resin all over. So it's really cool. It makes it nice and easy. You'll definitely want some gloves. You do not want to get resin on your hands or any of your skin. You'll definitely want to wear a mask. So, everyone's got masks right now, but you'll need a really good mask, not just, a cloth, cotton one or anything like that. You'll need like N95 mask or whatnot. So definitely look into using a mask if you do use resin. And again, part of the safety precautions that you'll want to look up if this is something you ever decide to do. But other than that, I like to wear a little apron. That way I don't get anything on my clothes, because it definitely can be messy. Other than that, so here's all the tools, and let's go ahead and get started.
24 hours later.